Apple's Mac Studio with the powerful M1 Ultra chip is great, but some people, including myself, have speculated that the Mac Studio is a one-off product that Apple will simply cancel and replace with the Mac Pro or maybe even the iMac Pro, but that is wrong. Yes, we just got a huge leak that confirms Apple's long-term plans for the Mac Studio, and they're more long-term than you think. So in this video, I'm gonna go through all the leaks and rumors, including the release date, the specs, and how it's gonna impact the rest of the Apple Silicon Mac lineup. The leaks start with Mark Gurman, the best Apple leaker out there, and he just gave us a new Power On newsletter edition yesterday, talking about what's coming at WWDC. Getting right into that Bloomberg article, you can see that we have the new Reality headset, basically Apple's VR headset, the new XROS operating system, some new MacBooks that we just talked about in a previous video, and he also mentioned the Mac Studio. He only gave us one sentence on it, but it is very, very important. He says there are 2 Mac Studio follow-ups planned, but their timing is less clear. So in this video, we gotta figure out what timing is actually gonna be used for the Mac Studio updates and when we should get them. But of course, the one thing that's the most important to look at is that the Mac Studio is not a one-off stopgap product, just like we had with the iMac Pro, which I loved. I used it for years for editing videos, and that was discontinued. It's not gonna happen like that with the Mac Studio. We're getting 2 more models. But in terms of the Mac Studio being updated with the M2 Ultra chip this year, I personally don't think it's happening, and it has to do with this leak from Mark Gurman. He confirmed that the Mac Pro is no longer getting the 40-core M2 Extreme chip. Yes, he said that the Mac Pro is in testing, but that specific chip is getting canceled, which means it's gonna be limited to the M2 Ultra, the same chip that we would expect to come in the Mac Studio. So because of that, he literally says Apple may not launch the updated Mac Studio with the M2 Ultra chip due to similarity with the upcoming Mac Pro. And the idea there is, why would you buy a Mac Pro for thousands of dollars, maybe $5,000, $6,000 with an M2 Ultra chip, if you could just buy the very small and portable Mac Studio with the same M2 Ultra chip? Yes, the Mac Pro is gonna have further expandability, changing things out, maybe putting some custom Apple GPU cards, but if you just need that powerful M2 Ultra chip, just buy the Mac Studio. And I think that's why Apple is skipping on the M2 Ultra model of the Mac Studio. They're probably going to wait, and the question is, how long? Now, the first hint actually came from Mark Gurman's newsletter just yesterday, because he said that all of those Macs, including the Mac Pro, should go on sale either sometime this year or next year, and that basically includes the 15-inch Air, the updated 13-inch Air, an entry-level 13-inch MacBook Pro, a 24-inch iMac, updated high-end MacBook Pro models, and the Mac Pro. All of those either this year or early 2024. And since we know that the Mac Studio is gonna be clashing with the Mac Pro, which by the way is likely to get revealed or announced at WWDC because of recent developer log leaks, we know that the Mac Studio probably has to get pushed out even further than that. And this basically means that although Mark Gurman says the Mac Studio still has 2 more updates to go, I don't think it's gonna be part of the M2 chip family. I think it's gonna get delayed until the M3 family of chips with the M3 Max and M3 Ultra chips, which is great because it is gonna be on the new 3nm process technology from TSMC, so it's gonna be a lot more efficient and powerful, so that's a good sign, but unfortunately we have to wait even longer. However, this is kind of disappointing to me knowing that it's getting delayed until the M3 Ultra, and then even after that, there's another Mac Studio coming, because the Mac Studio was a replacement for the iMac Pro, which I loved, and I like it so much better than the Mac Studio since everything's built into one package. And we do have leaks of Apple testing a new 27-inch iMac with Apple Silicon, which is a prototype that shows that Apple is interested in bringing it back. But if there are 2 more Mac Studio refreshes coming, then it makes it seem like the iMac Pro might get delayed even longer than expected. And then even further, if the Mac Studio is skipping the M2 Ultra chip, then that suggests a 3-year update cycle. So imagine having to wait another 3 years after the M3 Ultra Mac Studio comes. That might mean a long time for the revival of the iMac Pro. And then now we have to answer the final question. If Apple is canceling the M2 Ultra Mac Studio and waiting for the M3 Ultra, then when is it actually going to be getting released? So let's dig through all the leaks and try to figure it out. One thing we know for sure is that the Mac Studio with the M1 Ultra came about 4.5 months after the M1 Pro and Max chips were unveiled in the 14-inch, 16-inch MacBook Pros. And then the M1 Max chip came about 11 months after the M1. But there were reports that those MacBook Pros were delayed due to mini LED display chip shortages, and they were supposed to come at WWDC in June of 2021 instead, which would be about half a year after the M1 chip released. And then we also know that the M2 chip came out in the summer of 2022, and we got the M2 Pro and Max around half a year later, basically matching up to the timeline of the M1 family of chips if you don't count all of the delays that ended up happening. So as far as the release date of the next Mac Studio with the M3 Ultra chip, it's all going to depend on when the M3 chip gets released. According to Mark Gurman's recent reports, the M3 chip likely isn't coming until the fall of this year with the new MacBook Air. And then counting at least half a year after that, the M3 Pro and M3 Max chips should either come in the spring or summer of 2024, and then another half a year later would mean that the M3 Ultra would come in the fall of 2024 in the Mac Studio. However, just like the other 2 chip families, we had some issues that caused delays. So I think we could even be waiting until the spring of 2025 for another Mac Studio refresh if we have more delays come around, which would put the Mac Studio at a 3-year timeline exactly. And with that said, because of all of that, here is my advice if you're looking for a good desktop Apple Silicon Mac. Just buy the M2 Pro Mac Mini right now if you need a good machine, because the M2 Ultra chip is likely only going into the Mac Pro and it's going to be very expensive, so it doesn't make sense for a lot of people. I would even go as far as to say you should just wait for the M3 MacBook Air or the M3 iMac if you need a desktop, because that chip's going to be super efficient and very, very powerful in terms of single core performance, so it's going to be very snappy. And I even made a video recently calculating the performance of the M3 chip, and it should outperform the binned M2 Pro chip model. And that means it's going to be very, very powerful and likely powerful enough for you guys who need it for productivity as well. So that is my recommendation. Unfortunately, we have to wait a while for the Mac Studio, but I think that is okay. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below and click the circle above to subscribe for more videos like this one. Definitely check out one of those 2 right over there, including the M3 chip calculations video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.